your hair, how do you get it to stand up so erect and so straight and so symmetrical? Are you just pumping that thing with gel? Is it lotion? What is that?
Erect is the word. I've had people say a lot of things about my hair, but erect.
Today we had on Ryan McMillian, aka the Johnny Bravo of OC Real Estate. He talks about why new agents should join a team, how he climbed into the luxury price point, what he did to sell a $17 million house, and how he leveraged that sale for his real estate business. This guy's hair is ridiculous.
The Broke Agent presents Over Ask Podcast.
Ryan, how the heck are you?
I am good. I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Orange County real estate agent, Eric. This is a fancy one. As if you're watching this, you can tell this is a fancy episode. Okay, this is probably. I think you've taken greatest hair of all time on the podcast. Would you say, Eric?
I think so. I mean, if you could sculpt an OC real estate agent in a lab, it would be Ryan McMillian. If you're watching this or listening to this on Spotify or Apple, you got to go over to YouTube right now and take a look at this guy. His hair is symmetrical. His face is symmetrical. His jawline is impeccable.
It's incredible. You're one of the greatest looking realtors of all time.
I'll take
Holy
it, gentlemen.
shit.
I'll take it.
Jesus. Well, anyways, yeah, you threw us off guard. I didn't realize you're going to be
I should have
so
warned you,
good
Matt.
looking
Sorry
going
about
on here. It's just, yeah, kind of, Jesus, I couldn't, I just can't focus really. I mean, just looking at your eyes. But Ryan, thanks for being on. You're from Orange County, the OC, for those who watch the show, Newport Beach in particular. Can you let the listeners know a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thanks, gentlemen, for having me on today. So yeah, from Orange County, live in Irvine now. Our office is here in Newport Beach. Been over here in Orange County for about 20 years. Prior to the real estate venture, which was about 6 years ago, I was heavily in the bar and restaurant industry. So I was managing a very I guess you could say high profile, fun atmosphere bar in Newport Beach for roughly about 11 years. I was doing that. And that was, let me just say, it was a ride. It was a lot of fun. Amazing experience and stories to come from that. And then transitioned into real estate about 6 years ago. And that kind of happened as, it was like, hey, I have a mom that did real estate back in the day, and then I had friends that were doing it. I always had an interest in it, wanted to look for a little bit of a change, and was going to do the whole I'm going to own my own bar and restaurant. Decided to transition into real estate, and then joined a team when I popped in. Luckily, was introduced to Robert Mack and got into that whole thing, but. Went to school in Long Beach, been in Orange County for 20 years, doing the real estate thing for the last 6. But yeah, I mean, I'm loving it. And I feel like, as cliche as it is, I'm just getting started. Literally, I feel like I'm just getting started. So.
Yeah, I've been in the business longer than you, Ryan, believe it or not. It's actually crazy that I've been licensed longer than some of our guests now, Matt, because when you first get licensed, the first 5 or 6 years are such a blur. You feel like a new agent at all times.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt, is that funny? I mean, I'm just telling. It's just crazy that true. Ryan.
No, I like how you corrected. I like how you corrected what you very well should have. You said in the business to licensed, because I was going to say
I knew you were going to say something. I set myself up for that one. That was what we call an alley oop there for Matt.
Yeah, I wouldn't say you're in the business, Eric. I'd say you're a licensed real estate.
I got licensed before this clown that we have on right here, true. Which is crazy.
Number,
this guy's
what's your license number in California? What's it start with?
925-635. Oh, that's my social security number.
That's your thread.
Haley, delete this. Actually,
please. What's threads?
That's my lockbox code. Actually.
Okay.
So Ryan, here's a question for you.
Yes.
You got licensed. You joined the Robert Mack Group immediately, or were you a solo agent at the beginning?
No, I immediately joined Robert and the Robert Mack Group. So when I got my license, my good friend that I grew up with, and it was already 10 years plus in the real estate business, and he was actually in the business, was like, his name's Eric Crumbaker. I'm sure you know who that is. And he basically was like, hey, man, when you get your license, let me know. I'm going to connect you with, a team or a mentor. Like, that's the way to go. So I came off of the test and was like, oh, I'll go interview and I'll talk to people and see about joining a team. And that's what I did. And that I think is probably the best decision, because in the beginning, you get into real estate and you don't know what you're doing, and you don't know which way's up, which way is down, and what I should be doing. And I make my own schedule and all this shit. Like, you don't know what's going on. So joining a team or having a mentor is absolutely incredible, because it's going to accelerate your growth and you actually learning like what you're supposed to be doing to make you a better agent. So I did that right away, and I'm extremely grateful that I did, and it was a great route to go.
And you just sold us. Is this right? We our researchers on this podcast aren't always exactly right, but $17 million listing you just sold. Is that correct?
It was a $17.1 million buyer sale that I closed out earlier this year. So that is correct. And
wow.
Yes, it was fascinating, and sure, it made headlines and all that. And
did it? Where did it make headlines? What do you mean?
Definitely on this.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I run a real estate media company. I haven't seen one headline on this. I didn't even see it posted. By
headlines, I mean it was talked about within the organization,
your team,
the ecosystem, the team. Oh yeah, definitely the team, right?
What ecosystem? What are you talking about? I haven't seen this anywhere.
Was your buyer someone famous?
Sorry to interrupt, but if you're listening, this means you care about real estate marketing. You care about becoming a better agent. And that's exactly why you need to join our new platform, BAMX. We have monthly courses for our members, including my Instagram course, objection handling, green screens, captions, and more. You also get access to our exclusive private community for literally a frappuccino a month. Use code OVERASK for 10% off. There's a link down in the description.
He's not a high-profile, famous gentleman, but he's a well-known businessman that found us, through our website online. And so basically it turned into treating it just like another client, right? And I just played it cool and did what I was supposed to do. Wasn't thirsty, as people like to say, and just treated him like a normal client. And the guy was extremely cool and down to earth. And, lo and behold, after, 6 to 8 months of nurturing and chatting and giving the guy what he wanted, we were out looking at homes and was able to put him in an amazing property in Laguna Beach, which was incredible. And obviously a career-changing sale for multiple reasons. I've always wanted to kind of transition and get into the whole luxury side of the business. And that's from the get-go. So this definitely was helpful. There was other small deals along the way to kind of build up to this a little bit, but getting this under the belt and kind of being able to get at the big boy table a little bit was pretty cool. It was awesome.
Yeah. I didn't know Mark Zuckerberg was looking in Laguna Beach. That's cool. Next to Lauren Conrad. That's pretty sweet. Good for you.
Yeah.
6 years in, 17.1 million. That's incredible. What was your highest sale prior to that?
Prior to that, I had done did a $5 million sale.
Oh, so pretty big jump.
Yeah, totally. I was just before we left Irvine, there was a sale in there that was right around 5 million. And then there was, this building period of, okay, I want to work into the luxury market. And then there was, the 2, 3s and the 4s here and there. But 5 was the highest up until then. So
how do you start working into the luxury market? Like, what actively do you start doing as a realtor to start training your mind and your future clientele to become a luxury real estate agent? Like, what'd you do differently?
I don't like to call myself a luxury real estate agent per se.
All right. Well, I'm calling you a luxury real. 17 million is luxury.
I mean, you made headlines. You should probably call yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
I
the real deal had you on the front cover.
If I could take one thing back. So I would say number one is probably something you've already heard is just know the market. You really got to study those price points, those neighborhoods, that market, because the people that are buying and selling in those areas are savvy, and they probably know more than the average real estate agent. So let's just say that, because and that's true. Like, if you don't do your homework and know whether it's price per square foot, what things are trading at, proximity to the beach, things like that, like, you're going to get caught with your pants down. So I would say number one is definitely make sure you know the market. And then number two is I put a singularity focus on, like, that's what I want to do. Like, that's it, so I didn't turn down everything that wasn't in a price point I wanted, but I definitely took gaps of business and units to be like, I would rather focus on this rather than that. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah, it does. Because does it hurt your potential luxury outlook if you start listing properties and doing deals for 300, 500? Does that mean the $17 million buyer or seller is a little bit more reluctant to work with you if they look at that and see these are your price points? Is that
Yeah,
is
I
that
mean,
thing?
to a certain degree, it's true, right? But at the same time, like, you got to pay the bills and you have to work, right? So like sometimes you have to take what you can get, but also when you're talking to sellers and you're going to list properties, a common question that's coming up is, hey, what have you sold in this price point? Or hey, what have you sold in this neighborhood or area? And if you don't have social proof or a track record for that, yeah, it can hurt you. And I'm still in that transitionary period where that still trumps me because I don't have a ton of track record in various areas or a ton and like years and years of luxury experience because I was selling just whatever I could for the first, 3 to 4 or 5 years. And then in the last like 2 years, just really being like, all right, I want to start really diving into the luxury side of things. And so that's where I'm at. But yeah, it's kind of that crappy, as we call it, the J curve spot where you're like, I want to get from point A to point B, but you can't just go there. Like you kind of got to go like this and then come back up because that's what I did. Less units, less sales in certain months of periods of time. And then just kind of you swing and you hit a home run here and there, but there's less sometimes.
Yeah. So when you said that you did everything you could to learn the market and have that advantage where you know what everything's trading for, what'd you do differently? Like, are you going on more brokers' caravans? Are you looking at the MLS more? Like, what sort of practices did you do to learn the market better than everybody?
Definitely going and previewing properties as much as possible. So you can actually walk through the inventory, see what's on the market, know what things are trading for, what prices are. Like someone asks you, oh, what can I get for 4 million in Corona Del Mar? Like you got to know what that is, right? And actually be able to touch it and feel it and see it. So that's number one for sure. And then also setting up searches for clients or yourself as well and keeping tabs on the MLS like pretty much consistently. So I mean, it just, and then when there was spare time, like that excited me and interested me to be able to say, I'm going to go pop on the MLS and do a random search and see what things on beachfront and the Balboa Peninsula are trading for right now. So I could tell somebody if they ask me, like that kind of stuff too, So it was kind of like like I said, a singularity focus to be like, I want to learn this market.
I agree so much with the actually going in and viewing those homes. Because just looking at the pictures and the comps is one thing, but when you go view those homes, so much can happen. Like so many times I've done that now because my partner Anna, she's like swears by it. Mm-hmm. And now that I do it, you learn so much, not only about the house, but you meet the neighbors and they give you like little ins that you wouldn't know. And then you can like relay that onto clients. And it's so impressive that you know those little things about the neighborhood and the house and all that stuff that you just can't get on MLS.
Yeah, you can't. And it's true because when if you actually go, that's why we like door knocking as well too, because when you walk the streets in the neighborhood or if you go preview properties, you can actually say, oh yeah, there's a cute little coffee shop right here up around the corner. Like that kind of stuff is huge. You got to know that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you use
100%.
the phrase cute little coffee shop? I can't see you saying that to people.
If I'm talking to a woman, I might say cute. You never know.
Right, exactly.
That's the name of the shop, Eric.
Cute little coffee shop.
Yeah, that's actually the name of it. Yeah.
There's a cute little coffee shop down the street. There's an Arby's down the street, actually. There was nothing.
That is good. That is good because even like when you're talking to someone about a specific area, you can be like, oh yeah, you live there, right next to the cute little coffee shop. Mm-hmm. Right. And they're like, yeah. And you're like, yeah, cool. Eric doesn't get it.
No, I do get it actually. Telling the prospects that you've been in a house that they're talking about was one of the best things. Like I actually used to go on Broker's Caravan every Tuesday and Sunday I would go see open houses. And when I could actually tell a buyer like, oh, I was actually at that house when they send it to you or you send it to them, you have so much more to say than just blindly looking at it through the MLS. So I think the point is we all agree here. If you see the house in person, it makes you a little bit more knowledgeable.
Yeah. Now, I will say we've been doing this for 2.5 years. We've spoken about brokers' caravans all over. We do not have this here in Canada. What actually is it? What I'm picturing is like a bunch of maniac real estate agents going on a tour bus around different open houses.
Do you have it, Ryan?
We do, but we don't. So in Newport Beach and in these areas, they don't. I know they did an actual caravan in like Irvine in certain areas where people would actually go together. But no, it's just brokers preview where these homes are open from 11 to 2 on this day and this time, and agents will and brokers will just come, and it's like a broker's open house and just come and go in their own cars. Sometimes they go in groups. A lot of times people
Yeah.
go as a team, things like that. But it's not like a big bus where it's like a bunch of,
Yeah, it's not a caravan.
Wall Street guys on a bus with
Yeah.
a bathroom full of guys doing God knows what in there, like no, none of that. So
It's not
I
a
just
horse
picture
and
Eric
buggy
in the back of a pickup truck, just like
with a bunch of
yeah, Eric,
brokers.
it's
No,
like,
the point
it's like
is,
Dazed and Confused where there's guys in the back of the pickup truck
yeah.
and they just hop out the side over the wheel and just go look at the
exactly,
property.
just slamming champagne in the back from all the opens.
Yeah, it's got to be
It was-
champagne, no beers. It's classy champagne.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, going to Broker's Caravan in LA, and I'm sure same with Newport and Toronto, one of the most fun things you could possibly do. And by the way, it is open to the public too. So there sometimes would be buyers and sellers or just, whoever there. But
Yeah.
there'd be Brokers Opens that must have been $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 worth of catering and champagne and DJs and everything, or valet parking and free coffee. And like you could hit 5 or 6 of these places and be fed for like the entire day. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then also the content you could get from these places. Yeah. Brokers Caravan was
Right.
great. I used to go on Brokers Caravan, and by used to, I mean once, with Victoria Velasquez, who we've had on the podcast. And this was like her, coming out into the real estate industry, was going on Brokers Caravan and seeing how everybody does it. So
yeah,
it's a fun time.
it is a good time.
Yeah.
I could technically
You should
still
go
on it.
now.
I will,
I was
actually.
going to say you should.
I went
You'll be a
I went
celebrity.
I went to
God, I know.
open
Could you
houses on
imagine?
Sunday just to see if the agents would recognize me.
And
it
did
was
they?
actually the first one did. Yes. No, we're shopping for a house. I didn't. go
Eric
for
just
people to
positions
recognize me.
himself in places where a lot of real estate agents will be, and just he wears his key shirt.
Yeah,
and
just
just
a
hopes to
t-shirt.
God.
That's how I.
I came in kind of. I went in kind of
T-shirt.
paced around and signed in as the broke agent and just kind of like waited for her to say something and just kind of sat there. I was like,
Signed
yeah,
in
you
as
gonna
the broke agent.
you gonna say anything?
You just sign in as the broke agent.
Oh my God.
exactly.
Yeah,
Are you the
sign
worst
in.
buyer out there right now, though? Are you the worst buyer?
Dude, I just tweeted or threaded actually, which I then posted to Instagram, that I am the buyer that everybody makes fun of. It's crazy how you become like every buyer is like this. I think just like I am looking in 2 different states. I am not responding to my brokers or my agent's emails. I am in multiple price points. I'm seeing open houses without my agent. Like I am the worst buyer of all time right now. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
What are some of the objections you're seeing? Like, what are some of the things that are really rubbing you the wrong way right now?
Yeah.
I don't like small houses. That's what we really don't like. Anything that's under 1,300 square feet, we're realizing that we need a lot more space. It's rubbing me the wrong way if there's not a big yard for Miles to run around in, if there's not an ADU/garage for me to do podcasts in and stuff like that. So I really need like a separate area, because if Ann starts working from home again, we can't have that battle royale. But this isn't about
That's fair.
my house search. Ryan, I do have a question for you. When you get a $17 million listing, or when you close a $17 million deal, besides all the press and the New York Times and everything, what did you do to leverage something like this? Like, do you post a lot about it? Are you talking about it? Because you got to do something when you have a sale like this.
Yeah. So that was something that we did in multiple facets. We did definitely posted about it, brought it up on the video that we did as well. We do our video shoots. We batch once a month, and it came up on one of those. We did like a little realtors react on it where we're like, oh, look at this house. And we're like, oh yeah, that looks familiar. Just kind of brought it back up again, kept repurposing it. But we did obviously mailers, and then we door knocked that entire area as well. And I'll tell you what, like I've door knocked for no reason. I've door knocked for plenty of other reasons to show social proof, but door knocking with that flyer in your hand to be like, hey, we just want to let you know, we just sold this home down the street. And we just want to give it to you and just share some information. Like that was huge. And that actually drew quite a bit of activity where people were like, oh yeah. And then it was nice to be able to hand that to them and say, yeah, so this is social proof. So we did multiple ways to leverage it. And have a few people that are out there that we're working with. Nothing materialized yet. But it is what it is. You got to do it no matter what. And that was a huge thing. And not to mention having social proof to be able to put where you're sharing that with new sellers, as well as sending out the normal database mailers and putting that on there is what we did to leverage as well. So just to kind of give a little social proof to people.
Yeah, that's got to feel good having that $17 million flyer in your hand. It's like a superpower. You probably felt like a completely different agent as opposed to going in and door knocking expireds or canceled listings and grinding when you first start. Like this is a whole new proof piece, which has got to feel incredible, I imagine. Was there anything scarier about working with someone in that price range? I know you said this guy was chill and cool, but I got to imagine the stakes are a little bit higher for something like this when you're like, holy crap, like this is actually life-changing.
Dude, I was terrified. I was terrified in the beginning. And I'll tell you the worst part where I felt a little bit like, oh shit, I'm out of my league. And it was when I was doing the negotiation. It was when the agents, there was two agents on the other side that were a team together, and they ended up being amazing to work with and everything. But like at the beginning, when I threw out the offer, because I'm not going to lie, like we started pretty far apart. Like we were pretty far apart on this whole situation, and
came in at 2 million.
Not quite, but
yeah,
it was a pretty good gap to start, and then they got all pissy at me and started claiming like you need to educate your client and look at this comp, look at that comp. And in the back of my mind, I'm going, well, I know that there's nobody else that's writing an offer on this house right now. So whatever you think, like, and I knew the numbers, but it made me feel a little uncomfortable. Like, oh shit, did I do something wrong? Am I out of my league? Right. But then at the end of the day, like once I got my client what I got him, and by the way, I got him the place completely furnished as well, like everything from head to toe. It was just basically brought his toothbrush and bedding and moved in. So like it was an amazing situation.
What Eric wants.
Yeah, that's what Eric wants. You want a place on the beach with its own private little beach with just your toothbrush you can walk in.
Exactly.
But no, I mean, I think that I treaded lightly all the way throughout, but it honestly, once I got into the transaction, I'm going to say this, and it's not always the rule of thumb, but like it was one of the easier, smoothest escrows I've had, because my guy was like, yeah, I mean, just, handle it. He wasn't in town. He wasn't at the inspection. I sent the report and was like, hey, what do you think? Like, let's talk about it. He's like, I haven't had a chance to really look at it. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Just tell me what you think. And I'm like, whoa.
That's great.
You want me to do your request for repair on your $17 million sale? It was like, but honestly, it just was making sure that I knew the market to advise during the negotiation process, because it took a couple of weeks, almost like a week and a half or two, to kind of come to terms. And it was quote unquote dead in the water at one point. And, they turned around and were like, you know what, we'll take your offer. And so it worked, but it definitely was scary at the beginning.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel like that as they're moving, because I've been moving up in price range as well. And I do know my stuff and my numbers, but you feel like everyone, and in certain cases it's true, because it is kind of like a small niche of agents who are doing a lot of that business.
Yeah.
So when they see kind of a newbie, they try and like bully you almost.
Yeah.
And then you kind of start second guessing, like, oh shit, like should I be doing this? And you have to be confident about it though, and be like, no, I do know this. They're just kind of being dicks.
Yeah.
Because we're on their turf. But I think a lot of people go through that, and they will go through that as they move up into price range. You're going to feel like uncomfortable, like you don't, like almost like a bit of imposter syndrome, like you don't belong there. And it's cool to hear you talk about that, because I don't think really anyone does. You know what I hear all the time, Eric?
What?
Agents complain that online leads are trash.
You're right. It's so annoying.
It is annoying. Not converting, being non-responsive, etc. Let me let you in on a little secret, Eric.
Okay.
Boomtown was literally designed to overcome those challenges. They know that online home shoppers are further out from transacting maybe 3, 6, even 12 months, Eric, down the road. So Boomtown nurtures those leads for you using proven automated smart drip campaigns.
And beyond that, Boomtown also monitors your entire database of leads for behaviors that indicate readiness to transact, and then engage them for you at exactly the right time. You see everything, everywhere, all at once. Omnipotent, right, Matt? Or omniscient or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, except it's you that's everywhere. And there are no hot dog fingers, whatever the hell those are. So if you're ready to grow your database and have your transactions steadily increase, visit boomtownroi.com/overask. If you haven't yet already, after listening to this podcast for 2 years, you're out of your damn mind. Plus, you'll get $750 in free digital advertising credits. That's boomtownroi.com/overask. It's the best CRM in the game, hands down.
No, that's exactly right. And that's the best way to put it. You do feel like you have a little bit of imposter syndrome for sure. And you're like, am I supposed to be here? And you second guess the shit out of yourself. But at the end of the day, like, you have to have confidence, and you're absolutely right. And once you, and now by no stretch do I feel like, oh, I got this, I'm 100% in. But I'll tell you what, it was a big weight off my shoulders to be able to come to the table, be able to put this deal together, be able to close this deal, and now have, a client that trusts me and likes me. That makes you feel way better. So, but at the beginning, yeah, man, it's a little uncomfortable.
What's your communication like with this person now? Is there any sort of different follow-up methods that you do now that he's in the house to just like stay in touch with him, or you kind of let him be? What was the closing gift also for something that's 17 million? Did you get this guy a car or something?
That was actually the other thing that I was like, well, I need to start talking to some people and ask, like, what are you getting your clients when you do a $30 million or a $20 million deal for?
Yeah.
Like, what do you, so, I ended up getting a really nice designer throw blanket and a really nice bottle of champagne. And honestly, I talked to a couple agents, and it varies. Most of them, they're not looking, those clientele and those people aren't like expecting you to buy them a Ferrari because, you sold a house for 17 million for them. Right. But it, getting a nice gift or something that's, my thought is always like, you want to make sure you get them something that they're going to see and remember you. So like, it's something for the house. That's always something. And then it was like, I want it to be something that's going to be really nice and make a splash. So I ended up getting like a really nice designer throw blanket and a really nice bottle of champagne. And my follow-up now is we actually are working together on other projects as well, because he is a businessman and he wants to do investment stuff. So we're doing other things together. So that makes the follow-up easier. Yes, exactly. We are doing ApeCoin now. That's what we're doing.
Oh, perfect. That's awesome. Yeah.
But my follow-up is actually, we use Client Giant for regular clients where it's set and forget it kind of thing, right? I don't know if you guys are familiar with what that is, but it's like once a quarter, they send out a little gift to your client for a year. And so you don't have to do anything, right? I don't do that for him.
But I write that down, Eric.
Yeah, you better.
Client Giant should be sponsoring this
Client Giant
as well.
sponsor.
Okay, got it. What kind of gifts do they send out?
They're honestly like, it's seasonal. So it could be like, hey, here is a whole bunch of candles and bath bombs, or here is a thing of spices and barbecue sauces, or here's an eye mask, like different random little things. But they pick them all and they send them for 4 times a year. But what I was getting at is I set a personal reminder to reach out to this client. Like I just sent him, like a gift card to go to the Montage for a spa day and stuff like that.
Jeez.
So different things like that. But that's just because I wanted to, we also did another transaction together. So it kind of doubled as a little bit of a closing out gift on an investment property. So, but the follow-up, I feel like it's just like every other client. You want to keep them in arm's length, but and always let them know they're there. And make sure you're at least sending them, CMAs and data on their property occasionally as well too, at least a couple times a year.
Yeah.
Did you say this lead came through your
Boomtown?
Your team's website?
Yeah, he found us on our website. Yep.
And then how does that work? How did you get the lead?
What do you mean? Because they clicked on his profile and looked at his face.
On your profile on the thing?
We got to work with this guy.
Yeah, it was assigned through to me. And so then at that point, I have the opportunity to work the lead, and which I reached out to the gentleman, and then we started kind of talking, and it was kind of a nurture situation, and I'm not ready to do anything, just kind of want to do my thing. And obviously, like I said, there was the custom way to kind of nurture the guy, and lo and behold, I was able to talk to him and convert him into wanting to buy. I didn't have to convert him. It was just giving him what he wanted and playing it the way that he wanted to play it, which I feel is the way that things are with that clientele. You're not You're not trying to close these people. They don't want to be closed. You know, you're on their time. If they call you, your twins are being born, you better leave the hospital. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
things like that.
God.
Yeah. Did
right.
that scenario take place? Did you have to leave the hospital mid-birth?
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah. On the twins.
No, I didn't
Ryan,
have to, luckily.
So you mentioned getting your client a gift where they could always remember you by, where it's like constantly in their house, a blanket, which seems kind of odd. My friend Sam Hallam got my wife and I a blanket for our wedding, and it sits at the foot of our bed, and I have to think of Sam Hallam every time I go to bed. I don't like that. But what other gifts, like Matt, do you do this too, where you give them something that's in their house where they see you all the time?
Depends. I try and really like make it personal. I don't ever get like someone the same gift. So I have like a client who's like a really big Leafs fan. So I bought him like this like frame signed Leafs thing and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
I do things like that. But I don't really think about putting it in a house or anything like that. It's good to think of though.
Yeah, I like the personal touch, and sometimes it's hard to come up with that. But it's definitely something that you want them. Like I used to just be like, oh, I'm going to get them some alcohol, I'm going to get this, but then it's gone and they don't remember it. And so trying to find something that they're going to have in their home that they're going to see and it's going to remind them of you, I think is just key.
Yeah. And it's like as you're like going through, not with every client, but you can like build that connection. You kind of start knowing, they have some tells of like what they like, what they don't like, and then you can kind of pick up on some things like that as you're just like having conversation.
Absolutely.
Ryan, what's the deal with 5 Realty? So this is this is your brokerage.
5 or 5?
It's 5, right?
It is 5. Yes. There's
okay. So
they dropped the E, but the little accent thing on the I, so it's 5. That's the whole clever thing about it. Yeah.
So you're at the Robert Mack Group under 5 Realty. This is a newer brokerage, right? So give us a little pitch about what 5 Realty is. Is this the new Real? Is this the new EXP? Is there any sort of relationship here? Is there downlines? Like, what's going on with 5 Realty?
So 5 Realty has a similar model to some of those that you mentioned, where they do have a rev share model. It's a pretty favorable one, and it's pretty awesome as far as that. I'm not going to go into nauseam detail on it, but
yes.
But there is a rev share model. But the cool thing about 5 is that it's all about collaboration, and there's 5 circles is why it's called 5, and that's where your kind of rev share kind of downline situation can be. But it is a newer brokerage and it's cloud based, which is pretty incredible because what's nice about it is, you have your caps and all these other brokerages that you're always paying. You have your caps at the certain brokerages where you always pay that are in brick and mortar. This one has it, and they're pretty favorable to the agent, which is something that's great for us. And also the fact that it's going to grow, and we're in a situation where we're going to grow with it, and constantly bringing on new agents and new teams that are in other parts of the country. So it's still, very, very small compared to some of the other ones that are getting very massive and are amazing. And I think it's just a culture thing. Like, everybody's different, every brokerage offers something, and maybe you're a better fit with Real or EXP, and maybe you're a better fit with 5. Maybe you just want to stay at Coldwell Banker. Like, I don't know. So, but 5 is cool because it's all about collaboration, and that's what I liked about it the most, and gave us the opportunity.
What the hell does that mean? All about what are you guys constantly collabing on Instagram posts? Are you guys always just talking to each other? The collaboration buzzword pisses me off. Everyone's always collaborating.
Really
I bet none of you guys are even talking to each other. What are you collabing about?
Collabing. So do you want to collab? I don't like to say the word collab, by the way. So
like Drake and Rihanna.
Yeah, exactly. Are you guys featuring on each other's songs, or are you just walking to coffee?
We're featuring on each other's. Yeah. So the collaboration aspect comes is because it's nice because every team or team leader that has joined already, we meet once a week, share ideas. Everybody in the brokerage has access to everybody. So, for example, I'm not sure if you're familiar with a gentleman named Andy Dane Carter. I am not sure if you know
ADC, of course, secret meeting.
Had him on the podcast, friend of the show.
I'm sure you did. Yeah. And that guy is an amazing, brilliant mind that's done a lot more than just residential real estate. I mean, the guy owns like 1 million doors, right? And so not only are we friends with him before, but now he's in the brokerage and we have access to him, and the team does as well. Or anybody that wants access to him is great. And we got Nazar, who started the whole thing as the founder, and he's like the master of geographic farming as well too. So it's nice to have all that. So the collab aspect comes in where these people and myself and everybody, we get to meet once a week. Not to mention there's master classes as well that are once a week where there's a top agent or broker doing a little master class on a specific topic, which is also helpful, which I know everybody else does as well too. But I think it's awesome, and it's a growing thing, and it's cool to be a part of it.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
Stop
You
trying to
got to get
sell
into these
us,
things. Yeah. Jesus. We're not joining, all right, man. Getting these things on the ground floor, I think, is super advantageous. Like,
Yeah,
I think,
100%.
getting into EXP now, maybe even real at this point, there's just so many agents now, then the rev share becomes a little bit more difficult. But
Yeah, there's already so many people involved in those, but you can still, if it's continuing to grow, you still can get some passive income from it. But yeah, this is in the very still, I would say, infancy stages.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, it sounds pretty cool. The collab, I'm going to actually do a video on that soon because everyone has like collaboration. I mean, every brokerage says it. You got to say it, right? It's almost if you don't say it now, it's like, what, you don't have collaboration? What the hell's going on over there?
I would actually prefer a brokerage to say something like that. Like, we don't help you. None of the agents like each other. They all hate each other. And the offices are all separated by cubicles and no one talks.
And we have
to
a
each
copy
other.
machine that you have to pay to use, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Ryan, you're
good.
you're a big conference guy, right? Go to conferences, TF organization. What do you get out of these things?
Nowadays, I get, well, number one, I think, is the networking with the agents and referral partners. That's like the big thing right now. Bobby Mack has been going to those for God knows how long. And, he feels like the cool kid in high school when he goes there because he's built these relationships for a long time. And there's a lot, all joking aside, there was a lot of inbound referrals that come from the TF organization for him and the team. So that's huge. And it's also cool because you get nuggets from, I went to the first summit a while back, 4 or 5 years ago, and I was just like writing everything down and trying to absorb everything. It's like, it's just too much. It's overload, right? So now it's just grab some nuggets and take a few things that are going to help you and focus on them, not just trying to take 20 things and do none of them because you're overwhelmed, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I like going to
It is
these
great
things.
for networking. Yeah.
It is. It's the best for the in-person relationships. That's how I met you and Robert at a Tom Ferry event.
I'll never forget it.
It was at a dinner. I think
Yeah.
in like 2019 or something like that.
I think it was 18 or 19 for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I won't say how I thought of you, but I remember you just kind of being somewhat of an awkward guy. And I was like, oh, there he is. There's the guy. That's the guy, huh?
Yeah, you said that on your podcast or Robert's podcast, and that actually infuriated me. You said I was awkward. I don't know if it was the way I was standing or something like that, but that's one of the more insulting things you could say about someone when you meet them socially for the first time. Are you doing this podcast and this content? Are you doing a podcast with Robert? Like, what's your content move right now? Because I see that your content's constantly evolving.
He's doing the podcast. He's spearheading it, and I don't know if I would say I'm a consistent or a constant guest or co-host, but it's kind of his baby, and we're just all kind of going along with it. But it will be a lot of me and him interviewing guests on there. So I know he's done some where it's just been him one-on-one, and then we did one with you and I, and then since then we haven't done one since last month. I think we're due to do another one, but. It's going to be a constant evolving thing. And I remember, like he said, he didn't want to pigeonhole it to just real estate, but just, basically cool people doing cool stuff that would be cool to talk about on the podcast. So
cool people doing cool stuff. The ultimate podcast.
That's
exactly
great, right?
What every podcaster says they want. I just want to interview cool people doing cool shit, man.
Look, this is straight.
But I agree.
I'm just relaying.
No, I know.
I'm just relaying.
Yeah. No, I agree. So, it's like, take it from Matt and I, who we've been doing this for 2.5 years. It's way better in person because, like, I went to your studio. Like, you could have the chemistry right there. You could have the back and forth. There's no Wi-Fi, audio issues, nothing like that. Like, here with the screen, it's kind of hard to tell when the other person's going to talk. But the only other problem with in person, is that you could eventually run out of guests. Like if you cover all the people in Orange County in a real estate or people that are doing cool stuff, then it becomes difficult to find other podcasts. That's why you got to do once a month or something like that, possibly. Or, I mean, I don't know how often you plan on releasing it.
I believe he's looking to do at least once a month for now. I'm not sure if it's going to get any more frequent than that.
Yeah.
But again, you know, inside of Robert Mack's mind, who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
For the podcast?
Yeah.
We're doing, well, yeah.
What?
2 weeks. No, we have big announcements, but we can't say them yet.
Yeah, we got a big announcement.
Are you guys going to do a countdown where you say in 5 days we're going to tell you something amazing? Or are you going to do something like that?
In exactly
like that. And
7
Ryan,
days,
you're
we're going
in
to tell you
luck.
something crazy.
Yes, we're going to be like the Ring, 7 days, and everyone's going to die.
Exactly.
But no, you're on a good episode because there's a big announcement, and I just trickled it in there, and now I teased it, and now you're going to blow up. Ryan, you're welcome. You're going to blow up.
It's called foreshadowing, folks. But yes, this is good. Ryan, I think final question here. Your hair, how do you get it to stand up so erect and so straight and so symmetrical? Are you just pumping that thing with gel? Is it lotion? What is that?
It is
erect.
But
Okay.
I mean,
it's a
look,
weird-
if you're
weird way.
if you're watching this,
I've had people say a lot of things about my hair, but erect was definitely the most uncomfortable. You might as well said moist on this thing right now.
yeah, exactly.
One of the worst
I mean,
words
it
you can
looks,
say.
it does look fresh out of the shower. So what are you doing to this?
Okay, so it is a normal shower, blow dry, okay, and then product in there. Now it's product; it's not gel. And the product that I use is Crew Fiber, okay. So it's not like a paste or a pomade, but it's kind of like an in between. All right.
I use a paste or a pomade.
Yeah, and then it's a style with that, a little comb through it to kind of put the finishing touches on, and then a little spray and out the door.
And what do you have on the
It
sides
really
there? Is that
does
a 1?
look incredible.
It does. Is that a 1 on the sides?
This is grown out. I do about a 0, and then she fades it up to do up here a little bit. Maybe it comes around close to a 0.5 or a 1 by the time it gets to top. But this is about 1 week in of a haircut.
Got it.
Eric,
Well,
you're going to try and get it yourself? What's going on?
I would love to see Eric
with
do
the
it.
receding hairline. That would look crazy on me. In fact, I've actually transitioned to wearing more hats recently just to cover my head completely. And here's a fun fact also, which is horrible. If you're in the process of trying to have kids, which I may or may not be in the process of trying to do, you have to stop all your hair medication. Yeah, this is exactly. Shit, that was next week. Sorry, guys. You can't use Propecia or this topical minoxidil stuff. So I'm going to
do anything. You got to stop everything. They're like, don't do this.
You can't even use hand cream. Yeah. It's insane.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan,
I'll tell you.
good nuggets
just
here.
about does it, huh?
Good
So
nuggets.
okay.
You know, the nuggets. You got the nuggets from the TF organization. You gave us the nuggets. You just sold the
He's got the
$17
nuggets
million
and the erect hair. He's
in
got
the
it all.
erect hair. You just sold the $17.1 million property. You're going to sell way more of those. This guy is on the rise, a star of Newport real estate, Ryan McMillian. Ryan, where can people follow you so people could see your beautiful face on Instagram as well as YouTube?
Okay, so Instagram is at Ryan_the Mac, and I can send that to you if you want to,
send it to
post
who?
it out there.
I think we can get it. But
Yeah,
Send it to.
get
What do you mean send it?
Well, he asked me for my email twice in the last 2 weeks. I'm like, come on, man, really? You don't know my email yet? But
wow.
It's just easier because that way you could send it to me and I could just copy paste it as opposed to me looking for it.
Right.
And then we do have our YouTube channel. It's under Robert Mack Real Estate under our YouTube channel where our videos go as well. But Instagram is the easiest way to get a hold of me. I'm on Facebook as well, obviously. But, how that goes. Don't do Twitter yet, but, dabbling.
Well, maybe you'll be doing
Well, there you
threads.
go. Yeah.
So,
Threads.
We'll do threads.
yeah.
Awesome. Ryan, thanks so much for being on.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.